Identify that voice that is not so encouraging.
Mm.
How do you know that that's
That
not your higher power?
that let's say for me I want to get it out of my head. It's in my head. It doesn't feel good. It
Yeah,
feels nagging. It feels like I'm gonna not literally vomit, but I want to
right,
gag.
right, right. See, so again, as I said, we are so beautifully crafted with this beautiful thing called feelings and emotions. So how do we determine what voice is speaking through us, into us, is how it feels. Welcome to Eugene Holden's Academy of Self-Mastery, where transformation meets action. I'm Eugene Holden. I'm one of your guides on this journey of personal growth, mindset shifts, and deep self-awareness. Each episode, we dive into the tools, wisdom, and strategies you need to break through limitations and step into your highest potential. No fluff, no shortcuts here, just real conversations, practical insights, and a community dedicated to mastery in every area of life. So, if you're ready to unlock your power, elevate your mindset, and create a life by design, then let's get started. Welcome to Eugene Holden's Academy of Self-Mastery. Welcome to the deep end.
It's a 1950s family. The woman has an apron on. She's in the house all the time. She's pregnant. They have a boy that looks to be about 12 years old. Anyway, they listen to the radio every night. And then one night, there's no voice on there. And then people heard different things, like they started calling their neighbors. Was that God? I heard be kind to one another. I heard this. And it's a whole story, a movie about how different people experience the voice of God and how they heard it. And they even set it up in the church one day. And so how I interpret that. So it's a great movie. I could buy it for like $5, so I did, and I watched the whole doggone thing, and I really liked it. But it is based in more than just the movie. It's based in that next voice that you hear. And that next voice that you hear is the one that says, make a left right now because there's going to be a traffic jam, when you go straight. So I wanted to explore the possibilities of, we don't have to talk about the movie unless you want, but I wanted to explore the possibilities about that next voice that we are hearing in our personal life, in this crowded world of noise that we are living in. And I know people have really wonderful examples of it. I remember, it was snowing, it was icy. I'm driving Frank from South Dakota to the Mayo Clinic, and it's a 2-lane road, and you cannot see the ditch. I mean, it's bad. Yeah, I have 4-wheel drive, and he's like slumped. I mean, anyway. And all of a sudden, that I started slipping and sliding, and I couldn't see the ditch. And I heard this voice, and it said, do not touch the brake and take that wheel to the left. And then I heard the song, Jesus Take the Wheel. And and that it saved us. And Frank, he said, what happened? What happened? He woke up and he said, what happened? And I said, oh no, we're good. We're good, because I was gonna get him to Mayo. But anyway, I know all of us have that guides us. So I'd like to explore the next voice that we hear.
I love that, actually. Because here's the thing, right? The truth is that we are always hearing some voice. I think we were speaking yesterday. I mean, not just yesterday, but it just seemed like yesterday because I've been working on the editing. But we were just speaking about this last week, Sharon, where, oh, come on, dude. The next voice you hear, the voice. It had to do with the voice. It will come back. But yes, I love this. I think it's a good thing for us to jump into. This is what I'm remembering. That the voice, right? We were speaking about thoughts or words that are not spoken. Remember
Yes,
that, right? But
I
we are,
do. I
yeah,
do.
so we are always there are voices going on all the time. And again, folks, we're talking about these are thoughts that are going on all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
remember when I was licensing, I was on my licensing panel for my practitioner license, and or the preparation for that, one of the instructors, because I had a large prac class, one of the instructors said, as they were preparing us for the oral panels, if they
Mm-hmm.
ask if you hear voices, say no. I rose my hand and said, but don't you hear voices? Like the voices says, I'm hungry.
Mm-hmm.
The voices says, turn left. So we are always, so yeah, I like that. So now here's the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
To to discern that voice. What is that
Yes.
voice? Because I love, as I said earlier, that we are so beautifully crafted,
Mm-hmm.
not beautifully created, we are beautifully crafted. And
Yes.
so we are tapped into this collective of voices
Mm-hmm.
from
Mm-hmm.
around
Mm-hmm.
everywhere, right?
Yes.
For example, you can probably, if you thought about it, can hear the voice of your father,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
I
Yep.
can hear the voice of my mother or my uncles or so we hear these voices, and these voices, they're in the past. I mean, well, the experience was in the past. But what about that voice that says you're not enough?
Oy, yeah. See, that's what I'm talking about, Eugene. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
To identify what voice am I going to listen to? You
Mm-hmm.
know, somebody, I have clients, oh, because I've been doing, as you know, been doing this for a long, long time. And we will speak about every once in a while, how do you know that that's the voice of spirit or the voice of your higher power or the voice of whatever they call it? How
Mm-hmm.
do you know that that's the voice? And really, okay.
Hmm.
How do you know that it's the voice of that higher power, Sharon?
Me personally,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
how I know it through my solar plexus.
yeah,
I can feel it right there, and then it moves up to that heart chakra, and then actually my chest will get warm,
yeah.
but it starts there. It
Good.
starts there, and for me, it's in the solar plexus.
Yeah. And so there's a feeling, right? You can feel it. And how does it feel? So how do you identify that voice that is not so encouraging?
Mm.
How do you know that that's
That
not your higher power?
that let's say for me I want to get it out of my head. It's in my head. It doesn't feel good. It
Yeah,
feels nagging. It feels like I'm gonna not literally vomit, but I want to
right,
gag.
right, right. See, so again, as I said, we are so beautifully crafted with this beautiful thing called feelings and emotions. So how do we determine what voice is speaking through us, into us, is how it feels.
About conscious. Your conscience. You know what your conscience does? It makes you feel guilty when you steal something. Do we and I want to say that I don't want to say that they're wrong, but when we have taken that, when we can't recognize our own conscience, Eugene, there's something that is deeply, deeply missing.
Yeah.
So maybe that in the conscience, what we're talking, maybe we can blend this together, that that voice that we hear when we have, first of all, a consciousness for it, but a feeling for it, but a conscience about it that says, do not buy that gun. It will only harm. I'm talking about serious things.
Right.
I don't know if there's a correlation, but I'm just shocked that we don't, that young kid said to me, what's a conscience? And maybe he was, making fun of me. I don't know because I'm so old fashioned, but
No, I truly believe, Sharon, that he wasn't making fun of you. we are living in times where over a period of time that has kind of fallen to the wayside, because it has to do with respect, right?
Ah, oh
Right?
yes, Eugene.
Right?
Yes.
And over the past 20 years, if not more, there's been, generally speaking, folks, a lack
Hmm.
of respect for others, which also ultimately is a lack of respect for self. But
Hmm.
let's stay
Hmm.
with, with others. It's interesting, right? That somehow along the line, somewhere along the line, in this particular society in the United States of America, or sometimes the divided states of America, there's a lack of respect for our fellow human beings, and when there's a lack of respect, there's a lack of con
Yeah.
conscience. Yeah. Yeah, I don't care about what you feel. You've heard, let me see, during the presidential election, I guess the last, going through all of that,
Hmm.
the race and seeing signs, um, screw your feelings. That's not what they said.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm
No, no.
right,
Yeah, yeah.
right.
Yep, yep.
Screw them because they don't really care, but they really do. They just don't know that they do because them. But by those who I love this, people who say, "Well, screw your feelings." Well, that's what they feel,
That's yeah, 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 yeah.
right? Well, no, screw your feelings. But there's this lack of respect. Somehow we've lost respect for each other as a human species.
Species.
So I'm
I
not
was
I'm not surprised that young one was like, well, what is a
What
conscience?
is it? Yeah.
The
I was
conscience.
talking to my 92-year-old aunt the other day, and this was
Yeah,
about a family. And I love her. I mean, I love her. She's just beautiful inside and out and wise and very Christian, Lutheran, but she lives it. She lives it. She's kind to her neighbor, all of that.
right.
And we were talking about, uh, we're not recording, right?
Yeah, we are.
Oh, okay. So we were, I won't say the person's name then. So we were talking about somebody in our family and how this person was behaving. And my 92-year-old aunt, she said, that's just shameful. That's shameful behavior. And I thought to myself, and when I completed the conversation with her, then I thought to myself, that's a part of our conscience, that when we can feel shame when we do something, that says it was wrong, and now we get to correct it. We don't have to do that behavior again, because I really believe all of us, we don't want to feel shame. We don't want that in our lives. It's not empowering. But when we do feel it, we have the opportunity to be able to change it.
Right.
By what's that voice that we are hearing right there? That voice is, I don't feel good about this. What can I do? I don't want to repeat that behavior with that individual. What can I do? And that's conscience. What can I do? And then we go about, making those steps that we search them out, or something that we intuitively know that, oh, okay, I can change this by changing my mind and making a different choice.
Right. Right. And you have to be number one, conscious of what's going on with that. And then number two, and I think this is just as important, having the willingness to make that change.
Keyword, willingness.
Because
Are we
some people
willing?
may not be willing to make that change. Sometimes maybe they're happy behaving in that what we would say a shameful way, but to them it's not, and it could be because, well, who knows why,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
And I think also I want to relate this to this next voice that we hear. He gave me permission to tell this story. I have a wonderful, wonderful friend. His name is Troy Browning. I have known Troy Browning for years. And he was a creative exec at a major studio. And what creative execs do, they read all sorts of scripts, all sorts of everything, and then they give notes and they say to their boss or to the studio, okay, I recommend that we do this movie. I recommend that we pass on this one. So we have in the industry, we have what we call weekend reads. Everybody has to read, from the assistants to, up to all the creative execs. And there are lots of scripts that come into the studio. And so the story editor says to the department, this is your group. So Troy had been working and doing weekend reads for about, I don't know, 5-6 weeks in a row. And he was averaging reading 40 to 50 scripts a week. I mean, on a weekend read, and then giving notes and all of that.
Jeez.
So he was just completely worn out. And so what he decided to do, he decided to take a weekend off, and he went over to the Grand Canyon, and he was looking at all the beautiful sights, and he's really tired and still kind of in a stupor. But so he said, okay, and he loves hiking. And so he was at the Grand Canyon. He was hiking and hiking up, and he was really tired, and he didn't realize where he was. And he heard a voice, a literal voice that said, do not take a step back, take 2 steps forward. He took 2 steps forward, and then he turned around and he looked, and he was at the edge of the Grand Canyon. True story. So not only did that next voice that he heard saved his life, but we have many wonderful films that are on the market now because of his talent, but also this. It is so, whether you're a creative exec or who we are, that voice is always speaking to us. And I think you said I know, Eugene, you said the key word. Are we willing to listen to that voice of reason, that voice of instruction, that voice of conscience? Are we willing, and I think that more people, no, more than think, I believe more people are willing today than what they were before. And what I believe one of the reasons why is because they don't like what's happening in their relationships, their personal finances, or in today's world. And they're willing to change because they simply want it to be better.
Right.
You just want it to be better.
Right. I love this topic, Charin. The next voice you hear, right? And I was speaking with the client just a week or so ago about this, right? And they were talking about a voice that came up, and trying to discern, well, was it their higher power, or was it the egoic mind? And there's more than one ego, folks. There are a few, right? So don't worry about that. And what it came down to, I said to her, listen to whatever the voice is saying. If it doesn't sound or feel right, as we were saying, if it doesn't feel right, and then you can ask the voice. It's not only about listening to the voice, but you can also ask it to leave. Or ask it, so is this for my highest good? Right? And it has to answer. I love the one where, no, you know what, voice? I don't want to deal with this. You can go. And it has to go. Why? Because we're in control.
That's key right there. I want to have you expound on that right there. We ask it to go. Why? Why did you say why we can ask it to go?
If it doesn't resonate, with us, it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel, I like that one. It doesn't feel right. Not so much it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel quite right. Then I can say, you know what? I'm not listening to this voice. You can go, because it doesn't work. And it has to obey me. It has to go. It may come back, but because it does.
Yeah.
But it has to go because I'm in charge.
Yeah. And you're a choice. You
Well,
made
yeah,
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 you made a choice, and I love what we always refer back to this. It's one of the very special things about you that I love, Eugene, besides just who you are. But you always say, and I work on embodying it all the time, is that you always say that we are at choice. We get to make a decision, and that decision informs what we get to do next.
right.
It informs what we get to do next.
Yeah. You know, how I put that is I love this, right? We have this beautiful gift of choice. You
Hmm.
know, if you want proof, go to the store and just go down an aisle of potato chips.
Hmm.
Choices. You got barbecue, you got plain, you
Yeah.
got sea salt, you got onion, so many choices, right? So we have
Hmm.
this gift of choice. And then I have, of course, the gift of choice to choose how I want to feel. And then there's the power of decision. So
Hmm.
using the analogy of that aisle with all of those chips, I have all of these choices. Now I get to exercise my power of decision to choose which one I want to pick,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Now, when it comes to the thing that because we are here to live on purpose, the next voice you hear, right? And I'm going to hear all sorts of voices. And if that voice is not, this is another reason why I love having a statement of purpose, because my purpose, the purpose answers the questions, who am I and why am I here?
Hmm.
Right.
Hmm.
And so this voice is saying something that's contrary to my purpose, contrary to my purpose, then I can ask it to leave. I am making the power of decision. I'm deciding not to listen to it. See, and that's the thing, right, Sharon, that
Yes,
we have
yes.
the power to listen to these crazy ass voices or not.
Hmm.
Here's the
Hmm.
thing, as I was saying last week, right? Um, these words, these voices, these thoughts are words not spoken, right? So they're
Hmm.
thoughts and they
Hmm.
come through and they come through. But you know what a thought is for? Our own consideration.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't have
yes,
to
yes.
attach to it.
Mm-mm.
There's this thing, right? There are the thoughts that we have, and we have a lot of them, and then there are the thoughts we keep.
Yeah, yeah.
So
The
what
thoughts.
thoughts, folks, are we choosing, deciding to keep? For me, Sharon, let me keep thoughts that keep me vibrating at a high level of joy.
Hmm.
Now,
Hmm.
I don't have to be all the time, right?
Like
But
me? No.
but I can
Yeah,
be in this what looks like the silence, I'm just being quiet, but I'm in joy
yeah,
because that's
yes,
what I
yes.
decided. So it's the thoughts that we have and the thoughts that we keep.
So what I'm hearing in what you are saying, Eugene, is wh- how we are grounded in who we are, our identity, our core values, what we choose, our statement of purpose. How we are grounded in that is how we can hear that next voice that says to do this or to do that. And
Yeah.
depending upon how we are grounded in that, it will guide us. It
Yeah.
will it will be that what do you call that that GPS
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that GPS for us.
Yeah.
And I want to just bring this a little bit closer into the current situation that we are here in the United States. And I feel like I'm a broken record on it, but it's just I'm looking every day. Not only do I get phone calls and I talk to people and emails, and because everything when they look I'm putting it all together here. People that I'm in contact with, when they look at the news or they read on their phone, it is it is just, for lack of a better word, it's just simply disturbing.
Hmm.
And so, and then people are informed by how disturbed they are about it and how reactionary they are in about what this is. So I want to spend some time on that in that next voice that we hear out there listening, a podcast audience, and this really is about self-mastery here with Eugene. It is really about that next voice that we hear, whether it's from the television or what's on our phone. We have a divine right. We have a divine right to create it the way that we want in our response. And so we have to check our response. What is the response? Do I want to go out and harm somebody because they disagreed with me? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But we all have a divine right. When we hear that voice of disturbance, we have a divine right to say, I get to respond to this in a different way. I get to say, okay, I'm going to turn off the news. I'm not going to look at my phone. I need to just be still here for a moment and not be in my reactionary mode, because what I have learned, when I am in my reactionary mode, then I just create more chaos. So for me, when I'm talking to these people and all of that, I just remind myself just to be still in the conversation, to guide as I know intuitively to do, and then to remember that we have a divine choice to create it the way that we want. And there is always that voice of goodness that's saying, you are empowered to do this. That's the next voice I want to hear.
Yeah.
You're empowered to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. And there are voices all around every single day, right? Well, that's just the way life is, right?
Yes, yes.
That's just how it is. And so we sometimes can get inundated with these negative voices, these disempowering voices, these low vibrational voices
Mm-hmm.
that we get attached to. That's why you keep hearing me say, let's not get distracted by the weapons of mass distraction. Let's not get pulled by the weapons of mass distraction, and start listening to that voice that we know that is ours,
Mm-hmm.
that we know that is here to guide and direct us to serve our purpose at the highest that it can. You were
Mm-hmm.
speaking, right? And about the news, and not listening to the news, and all that is going on. And it reminds me of the verse, I believe it is in Romans chapter 12, verse 2. Got to go to the ancient wisdom. And this is
Mm-hmm.
just
Mm-hmm.
one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Paul writes, do not imitate the way of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your minds.
Yes,
Right.
yes,
So in
yes.
other words, for me, what that means, let me not get caught up
Mm-hmm.
in what I'm being told via the news, or the conversation at the copier, or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So let
Mm-hmm.
me not get caught up in that, and let me transform my life by having a fresh thought. Let me keep my mind fresh on the thoughts we have, the thoughts we keep. Let
Mm-hmm.
me keep the thought of peace. Let me keep the thought of showing up in a way that's going to be conducive for the environment that I'm in right now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I'm one that goes out and march and sign petitions, which I am not that person, and if
Mm-hmm.
you are that person, folks, great, 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 great,
Mm-hmm.
because we need that too. And make sure that you do it from a place of love.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And love is not always, oh, that's sweet. Love is not always that. Love is very powerful. Love
Yeah.
love does not joke around.
Mm-mm.
Love is
Mm-hmm.
love.
Love is love.
You know,
Excuse me. Mm-hmm. So I have a question. I'm a step, as you know, I'm a step girl. I like steps 1, 2, and 3. And I love that piece of scripture. It is by be transformed. I'm paraphrasing now, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. What would you say the steps are to renew our mind?
oh, beautiful, beautiful question. Thank you. The first step is, if you hear something, if you experience something, and that causes you to have a reaction like, oh, stop, stop.
Mm-hmm.
Stop,
Mm,
stop, and ask yourself the question. What
hmm.
do I have to be thinking to feel this agitation? The first step is to stop.
Yeah.
Take a breath. That's so important,
Hmm.
right? Then let me stop and take a breath and then and go within, meaning let me check out, okay, what is this emotion that I'm feeling here? What's this feeling? And then I get to ask myself, what must I be thinking to feel this? Because my thought creates my feeling.
Oh, say that again. Say it again.
My thought creates my feeling.
Yes.
Right? So I'm feeling agitated. Urgh, this is going on still, and they're doing this and they're doing that. Okay, let me stop. Let me take a breath because I'm agitated. It's taking me off of my purpose. Right? Whew, okay, now that I'm calmed down just a little bit, what am I
Hmm.
thinking to have me react like this? And then go down the line with whatever the answers are.
Hmm.
Is it or ask more questions? Okay, what am I thinking to feel this? I'm thinking that I am in harm or I am in danger. Is that true? No. Okay. Well, what is it? I'm thinking that these people are stupid. Is that true? Well, it could be, but I
Hmm.
can't do anything about that,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
But so I keep going down that list. Is it this? Is it that? Is it that? And then if I don't come up with an answer, then let me use my power of decision to decide to feel a different way.
Yeah. Well, good steps, Eugene. Wow.
But the very
And
first step is to stop and take a breath.
breath. And it's a
Stop.
daily, we have to be willing to do it, but it's a daily practice because we
Oh,
have thoughts every day. We
every
have,
day.
we have movement every day in our life, driving our car, going out to the grocery store, raising children, whatever.
Right.
It's an everyday practice.
It's an everyday practice.
Or maybe
And
maybe a moment to moment practice.
yeah, yeah, it is. I had an experience just this morning, right?
Hmm.
That had me frustrated for a short while, and I had to go through those steps. Okay, let me stop and breathe. It had nothing to do with the people involved. They had nothing to do with how I was reacting,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? They had nothing to do with how I chose to react, not to respond, but to
Hmm.
react. And when I'm
Hmm.
here's the thing I've learned, when I'm in that I don't reply to any emails or texts because I'm not in the right frame of mind for me because I'm pissed off, I'm agitated, I'm bothered.
Yeah.
So let me stop, let me take a breath and go within. What's going on? What is it about this that's happening that has you feeling like this? What?
Hmm.
Oh. And for me this morning, just it was like it was about I am not allowing people to tell me what to do and how to do what I do,
Hmm.
because and that stems from when I was a kid, mothers and brothers and sisters telling me what to do all the time, and I got to the point where I just don't like it at all. So
Hmm.
when something like that comes up, I got to say, honestly speaking, that button is pushed,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? I'm like, and then I'm like, okay, let me stop and take a breath. What must I be thinking to feel this? Oh, I'm thinking they're trying to control how I do my life. Is that
Hmm.
true? No, it's not. Feeling of agitation is now gone.
Yeah.
Now I can respond to the email.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So on both counts, in your analogy that you just made, on both counts, it was the voice that you heard. You heard a voice from childhood that said, you reacted in such a way. But then another voice said, okay, stop, take a breath. Take a breath, walk away from the situation. That was the voice that you heard. And I want to just, for all that are listening, this comes from my heart, and I know it comes from Eugene's heart out to all the hearts out there. Let's really make it a polite mandate in our lives to be open and willing to hear what that next voice is and to be guided by that we know to be love and joy, do those steps that Eugene was talking about, but then to be guided by that place of conscience, to be guided by that place where there is something that just makes me feel so much better when I'm not behaving out of my guilt or my resentment, something in me that makes me feel so much better when I can, give love to a neighbor who, I really wanted to, pop the tires on his car earlier or something, just not that I'm capable of that, but by cracky, but I want to put on
By
a practical,
cracky.
by cracky. But it is every day. And I just feel, this when we were talking and first developing this podcast, the idea came from you, and you said to the group, you said, this is about self-mastery, and these tools that we are using, it's universal. You didn't develop the tools, the
Right.
universe, they were already in place.
Right.
And now part of self-mastery is listening to that voice and then using the tools of the universe to change what we need to change.
Yeah. And those tools of the universe, everyone, is within you now. Right.
Mhm.
Well, and I
Yes.
hadn't done this at the beginning of a show in a while, and the reason why self and self-mastery is a lowercase s is because it speaks to that egoic self. See, because our higher selves don't need mastering. It is the master. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So the Academy of Self Mastery is about really, opening up and being willing to heal those parts that keep us from shining our light, from living our purpose, from living on purpose,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot for us to contend with. The next voice you hear, right? And there are so many voices. Check this out. I just pulled this up, Sharon.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
average human brain generates between 12,000 and 60,000 thoughts per day.
Good Lord. Mm-mm-mm.
The number can fluctuate based on individual factors like personality and level of activity, but 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts a day. Now, I
Mm.
go back to the thoughts we have, that's in that number, and then the thoughts we keep.
Mm-hmm.
Remember,
Mm-hmm.
I was saying that thoughts are for our own consideration. What thoughts do I want to keep?
Mm-hmm.
A
Mm-hmm.
lot of us have been trained, have been miseducated to keep the thoughts of inferiority. Oh, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not worthy. I'll never make it.
Mm-hmm.
And as we continue to believe that, going back to scripture, right? It is done unto us as we believe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, huh. And then it's done unto us as we believe. Well, we're going to get what we believe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that's just the way that the law works. We talked
Works.
about it last week. Thought, seed, plant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what we believe, what I have found, what we believe is based in our strongest feelings. It's a
Oh,
feeling.
it's a
Yeah, isn't it?
feeling. It's
Yeah,
it's a
it's a
feeling.
feeling, and that is, I have to personally, I have to work on that every day in terms of I'm still involved slightly or on the periphery, let's say, in the entertainment industry, and I have this wonderful, wonderful project that I have been working on. It's a script. It has everybody attached to it, and I have been working on it a long time. And would I love to get a deal over at Paramount or whatever? But then all of this comes at me literally. I read the trades, and it says that Sony's only buying this much, or they're only doing horror flicks, or that, and mine is a period piece drama, and they're not. And then I start believing in all of that data that's coming at me. And then my feeling is, oh crap, I'm never going to get this project sold, and it's a feeling. And the next thing I know, my phone's not ringing, oh crap. And then I go, oh, wait a minute, better than this, better than this. So then I got to go back. I got to go back to say, wow, I started believing in appearances, but what is the feeling that I know about this project? Ah, that's what I get back to. And
Yeah.
it is that I send then to the law. And then I'm able to, reach out to producers and say, this is what I have.
Yeah. 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 Do not get put. Now, the King James Version, how do they put that? Because the Lamsa is do not imitate, but the King James is do not adhere to the ways of the world, but be ye thee transformed by the renewing of your
Bring up
mind.
of your mind.
So with what they were saying, no, Paramount's only doing horror films and this is only doing that. Okay, well, that's what they're saying, but don't get caught up in that, right? Because
Yeah.
you're the way I would believe that your purpose, that your writing and your this period, your drama piece you're doing
Mhm.
is a part of you serving your purpose, right? And
Yes.
so, and there's nothing, absolutely nothing that can keep that from happening, in spite of what the appearances are. Oh, I think he says, don't judge by the appearance. Anyway, so in spite of what the appearances
Yeah,
are,
yeah, yeah.
right? That you keep. So, what thoughts do we have, and what thoughts do we keep?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know,
And the ones that feel good, we keep,
yeah.
because that really, you know, um, I'm not sure where, I think it might be in Isaiah, but there's a wonderful piece of scripture that it says, behold, I am about to do a new thing. Do you not see it? Behold, I'm about to do a new thing. Change your mind, Yeah,
But check out how that said, behold, I'm about to do a new thing. I'm
yeah,
going to do a new thing. Do you not see it? Which means that it's already here.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Right?
yeah. Yes,
Right.
yes.
So the way that they wrote stuff, man, it's really cool in that you look at the words. I'm about to create a new thing. Do you not see it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Which means that we're seeing it before it is manifested.
Yeah.
The next voice you hear, right, is a voice of creation. Well, all of the voices create. So what I want to do is to make sure to say this, that make sure as much as possible, folks, that the next voice you hear is your voice saying how good you are, your voice saying how successful you are, your voice saying how loved and loving you are.
Amen. Yes. Yes, Eugene. Yes. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. I'm inspired.
Well, good. Good one, Reverend Charin Barone.
Well,
Is there
thank you, sir.
is there anything that you want to leave our listeners with today?
I would say this, that Charles Fillmore wrote
Mm,
these beautiful words. And what he said was, I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm to see what God wants me to do next.
yeah.
So I'm going to rephrase it and I'm going to say, I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm for the voice I hear next to do good.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Fantastic. Thank you so very much. And thank you everyone else for tuning in to another episode of Eugene Holden's Academy of Self-Mastery. This is where we get to just dive in and really, you know, touch upon things that and practical tools that we can use to navigate this thing called life, because it really is a beautiful thing in spite of the attractions that are all around.
Yes. Yes.
Peace and abundant peace and abundant blessings, everybody.
Yes.